Okay, so we are going to silence. We are going to explore something called variables. Okay. Till now, we kind of like played with components and component level state and variants inside a component. Variants and variables are two different things. Okay. Variant is something that we have for a component. We can have n number of components, and for each component, we have multiple types, right? That's a variant. Variable. Did you ever use something called a variable ever? In any of your classes? It's like holding some text or value inside of it. That's called a variable. It's like a dynamic value. It doesn't have anything to do with Figma frames or anything. It's basically like you set a variable called Surya and then you give it some value to it and it'll just like know what the value is. That's all it will do. Okay. So let's see how to create them. I'm going to go a little bit slower so that you can practice on your own as well. When you click outside on this frame anywhere, right, we have the small little thing over here, above style, it's called variables, okay? So click on that. Well, don't want this. So you should be able to see something like a plain thing, not all of those things, okay? For the purposes of this one, I'm just going to create a new collection and I'm just going to name it as class. Okay. So inside of each variable, right, we can create a variable with any of these existing types. We can create a variable for color. In other words, it will only handle a color value property. We can handle something like a number. It will only carry a number property in that. Or a string, or it's a boolean. Boolean is true or false, those things, right? So let's just like create one. And here I'm just saying test, and you can see that now I have a value of true or false to this. Okay, so this is as simple as it, how to create a variable. Okay, so we will try to use this one anywhere, but for now just observe. So let's maybe play with the examples what we already have. Okay, well, before that maybe let's have something else. Just going to set the height and width of these properties. So what we want to do is that ideally we have 3 or 4 different images, okay, and we will have 4 different frames. Command D, okay. Each of this frame will consist of a single image, for example, woods, mountains, or whatever it is. Then we will have 4 different buttons over here. Whenever we click on any button, we only want that particular image type to show on our Figma frame. Okay, that's what we want to achieve. Okay, so let's see. Plugins, Unsplash. Come in. Okay, so we have 4 different images right now and we have a single frame. Let's create some buttons. Just put some text in it. So one is beach and I'm putting it auto layout frame and I'm filling it with a little bit of something and just reducing this to 4 and 8 and rounding the corners. Okay, we have a small little button. Let's get here and okay, let's duplicate that. Option drag, Command D, Command D. Okay, so we have 4 different things. Now in this, one is city, one is mountains, and the last one is fishing. Okay, so Shift A. Okay, with what we already have done so far, can anyone tell me or maybe try, if we click on one particular button over here, can this kind of like pop up? I mean, not all of those things. Whenever I click on one thing, only the beach should come. Or whenever I click on mountains, only the mountain should come. Something like that can happen in Figma from what we have learned so far. Can we do that? Just give it a quick thought. And in the meanwhile, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a component set. Okay, so I'm going to select all of those things. In order to make a component set, click on this. Instead of create component set. In other words, these are all now different variants of it. Okay. Now, when I want to bring one of this variant outside and change the property, I want to change to city or mountain or whatever it is from this one. How do I do it? I just need to apply component properties, right? How do I do that? So whenever I click over here, I can see that it's by default it's added property and whatever it is. So I'm going to say it as type. Okay, and the first one is beach, the second one is city, third one is mountains, and the fourth one is fishing. Okay, till here clear? You guys can do this, right? So we can bring, now I have bought one of the component variant outside. Now you can see that I can literally change these things. So this part is there. Okay, so let's go back to default, for example, beach, and let's get this over here inside. Okay, now what I want to do is that whenever I click on any of this one button, I want this particular component to change its variant. Does that make sense? If I click on mountains, I only want mountain over here, not I don't want this other variant over here. Make sense? Okay. So let's see simply how we can do it. Actually, before I just continue, can you all please do it till here? Or you can just copy it over so that you have it. Yes, did you all do it? Okay, so once please observe, when I click this particular variant, right, in here, next to type, what is the type of property that we have assigned to? Is it a boolean? Is it a number? What is this called? There are 4 different things, right? Boolean, number, string. Is this text? So text is basically called a string, okay? So in order to kind of like change this one, in other words, whenever I click on any of these buttons, right, I want something to go inside over to this component and then change this value from beach to mountain whenever I click on mountain, and change from mountain to fishing whenever I click on fishing. In other words, I want to change this text property. Okay, makes sense? So in order to change this text property, we need to create a variable of type text. Does that make sense? So let's go to variables, and I have created some boolean over here. Let's forget about that. Let's create another variable. And now I want to create a variable of text, which is a string. I created that. And I'm just going to name it as selected from now, because whenever I select something, basically that is the variable I'm going to use. Okay. Selected. Okay. And the string value by default, whenever I come to this page, right, I want the default to be beach. So I'm going to give it a value of beach. Does this make sense how I created a variable? You can try it on yourselves in your own pages once. Just create a variable with the selected. Okay, I will delete this variable. Let me know once you have created. So click outside anywhere, and then click on this variables, and then if you don't have anything, just create variable. If you already have some existing variables and stuff, click on this one and say create collection, and then create a variable. Basically create a variable of string type, and then rename the variable to selected, and add a value called beach as default. Just let me know once you're finished. Sorry? Number, string, or boolean? String, because I told you, right, when I clicked on this particular component, here I want to change the value of the text. So text is a string type. So it makes sense to create a variable of text type so that I can change this particular one. It will all make sense, just do it for now. Okay, done? Okay, now what we are going to do is that we can click on this particular variant. Everybody have completed that step, right? Because you just need to do it. So come and click on this one, and here I have this called beach, right? So basically I can select city and it's changing. That's all changing. That's cool. Now what I want to do is that I want to link my variable to this particular variant. Okay, and how do I do that? So basically if I want to link it, right, the idea is that the text should kind of like match the layer over there. Does it make sense? The text should match the layer over there. So just next to this beach, there is a small little icon that is present over here saying apply variable. Okay. So I simply click on apply variable, and then it is going to give me a list of variables which is already there. And we can select that I have a variable called selected, and the value for that is beach. Make sense? I click on it, then please observe what happens. Then this text kind of like type kind of like become this variable called selected, and there is also an unlinked property, like detached property to it. Now what did we do is that we literally kind of like made this variant value link to that variable type. Does that make sense? Yes? Okay. Now what we can try to do is click on this variables again, and now if I change the value over here, what should happen? Now instead of kind of like, so basically I can't bring this outside. I mean this one I can bring, but I can't kind of like click over here and select mountains and stuff, right? That is gone. You can't do it anymore. Now if I want this particular variant to change to any other instance, I need to change the value of it to mountains or something. Now because this is linked to this particular variable, if I change this value, will it change? Does it make sense to you? So let's try city. Now can you see that because it is linked, it's literally taking this value and applying it to this one in the type property. Make sense? Can you all just try to do that till there? Let me know once you're done. And also know that this selected, the variable name can be anything. It is only for your own understanding. The value is the only thing that will be entered. It's more like this is like a label. In a form, if you enter name is the selected thing over here, and value is your own name. Okay. Done? Did everyone do it till there? Guys, if you have trouble, just ask me so I can explain. Yeah, I'll give that in the last one. Okay, if everyone is done, now what I want to do is that, guys, one silence, please observe. See, now I know that whenever I change this variable value, I'm able to change this particular instance. That is cool, but that's not what I want to do, right? I don't want to kind of like go to this variable section and kind of like change its value and then change it. The idea is click on any of these buttons, and then I want the button to kind of like trigger something where it changes that particular variable value, and in turn this is being changed. Does that make sense? Okay, so what we will do is that I'm going to close these things and then click on beach. Okay, and now I'll go to prototype mode. Okay, in my prototype, so basically you have seen this part, right? Whenever you want to go from one frame to, for example, another, you click on anything and you simply drag this thing like this, right? But what if you don't want to go to some other different page, you want to do some other different action? Then what you do is just click on that particular button, make sure that you're in prototype tab, and then click on interaction or plus, okay, over here, right? And then from here, what you want to trigger on, basically I want to click on the button, so you can see it as on click, right? On click, I want to perform something, and the action what I want to select is, can you figure out what action that would be? Set variable. So great. So let's click on set variable, and whenever I click on set variable, you can see that we have a list of things over here inside, and which is the variable that I want to set? Selected, right? So I'm clicking on selected, and what is the variable I want to set to? When I click on beach, what is the variable? What is the value of the variable I want to set? Why would it be beach? Because in our local copy of the variant, right, the value is beach. That's why I want to set it to beach. Okay. So, oh, did I lose it? Yeah. So set variable selected, and the value will be BEACH. Does that make sense? Okay. So if you want to just check whether this is working or not, I'll go to my variables, and yeah, right now it is city. So how do I test this? I basically press shift space, and okay, it just loaded. So I click on this. Whenever I click on beach, basically the image is setting to beach. because the original value of it, we changed it to city. Does that make sense, everyone? Confusing? You want to try it? Okay. See, I don't know if it's something easy, if you can understand. So when I'm asking, if you just respond, then I'll go forward. Okay. In the same way, if I want to apply the same thing to all of this next things, right? What would I do is that I simply click on this, and you can click on this and again do the interaction thing and everything. Instead of that, one simple way of copying it is that you can click on this particular thing and just click on the left side corner of this one and click copy, Command C, and then select all of the other ones and Command V, so that now we have three different things for all of those three buttons. Okay, but we need to change these values, right? So click on any of these things and then basically change the values. City, mountains, was it mountain or mountains? Mountains. Mountains and then fishing. Okay, once you would have done that, whenever we click on any of these things, it's basically loading. Yeah, we have a, so let's just like recap. Please observe over here. So the idea is that now each of this button have its own prototyping mechanism on click. Whenever you click on that particular button, it is going to go and change the variable value to some other thing, which is if you click on beach, it will change to beach, whatever. And then because we have linked this particular instance of my component with the variable, whatever the text is being changed, it will be applying to this one, and in turn it will change one of this states. Does that make sense? Can you just like try this example and try to do it on your own, in your own things, and then we'll go for the next one. I'll just come. Did everyone get it? Should I explain again? Which part? The button? Okay. How many people didn't get it? I'll just re-explain. Okay. Okay. Do you want me to redo it or just re-explain? Okay. Oh, was it recording all this time? Okay. Silence everyone. Okay, everyone silence. Once please check this out. So the idea is that I have 4 different buttons. They are literally frames. Okay. The whole overview is that whenever I click on any one frame, each frame has a particular meaning to it, beach or city or whatever. Whenever I click on something, I have a component below it and I want to change that particular component to the particular relevant state. Okay, that's what I want to do. Alright. And now, because I want to do that, I have created this one component and then these are the different variants. And then we have given values of something called type for beach and mountains and stuff. So this part you understood, this part no explanation, right? Okay. Then I dragged one instance of that component over here on my artboard. Okay. So basically when I do that, I can change it in this way. Okay. Yeah, I can change it normally in this way. But the reason these things are changing is because of the text value properties already which is existing in there. So when I click on city, it's simply saying that it's typing something called city and that's what is associated to it. Okay, that's what is happening. Now, the idea is whenever I click on beach or city, I want to change this particular variant's value type to city whenever I click on it. Okay, that's what I want to do. So in order to do that, what I have done is that I have created one particular variable called selected. I can rename this to maybe category. Maybe that will make more sense. Okay. So I'm clicking on what category. Okay. That category value as default can be beach or anything else. Okay. Now what I did is that I linked that particular variable name to this particular instance. Okay. And can you see? I'm going to link it again. I click on that particular instance wherever I want to link it, go into this particular thing, and then I have something called apply variable. Okay, we already have created one variable. We are going to simply apply that variable to this one. Click on apply variable and then you have this category and the default value is beach over there. So link it. Whenever you link a particular variable to any instance property, right, then you will have this small little thing and you can also detach it. You can't select different things like how you can do with other instances. So this is kind of like fixed. You can't do anything about it. Does that make sense? Now because it is linked, in other words, from the variable to this particular one, they are both linked, right? If I change the value directly over here, so fishing, and then I know that literally this particular value is being replaced in this variable form. So now we are changing this dynamically. Does that make sense? Okay. And because I don't want it to happen on typing this, so I'm going to leave the beach to default again. I don't want to go here and type it everything. We can assign a trigger. You can click on any particular, for example, button and then go to prototype and trigger it on click. And we are saying set variable of what variable? The category type, right? To what? Fishing, because this is a fishing button. And you do the same for other things. Cleared? I'll just give you 2 minutes to redo it. Please let me know once you are done. Done. Still doing it? Anyone? Go ahead, go ahead. Okay, guys, once. Yeah, I'll explain. Guys, once please look at this. I want to. One of the students have some issue. I think you might also be facing something similar, so I just want to explain it over here. Anya, right? Ooh, that's a lot of stuff. What is it on, Anya? Travel practice? Okay, guys, please observe. So now I'm getting an instance out. She already created a component. Why is this a... Okay, anyhow, she already created a component set. Now I bought one particular instance out of it, okay? Now in this instance, I already have some values like default, setting, fishing, whatever it is, right? I click on default right now, and default means the first one. I'm trying to apply this variable of beach to this. What is happening? It's not being applied, right? So what you need to understand is that it will only be applied or linked for the first time only when it matches the value of the variable value, okay? So if you have the same issue like this, what you need to do is go to your instance, and also please don't leave this on default because you'll get confused what is property and all. Just change the names of them to type and then click on any of them, and then you see that you have these things, right? So the one is beach, okay? And come here, and then if you click on it and click on this, then now it is paid, okay? And you're saying that how to link that. Did you create a variable, Anya? Did you create a variable? Sorry? Category, this one? Yeah, okay. She already created a variable. Now she's asking how to link them. So we already linked this particular instance to this one. Now what I want to do, and also keep this frame outside. Okay. Now click on the beach and go to prototype, and then click on plus interaction. Basically you want to happen on click or on tap, whatever it is. And then you want to set the variable. Set the variable value to what, set the category variable value to, and always don't just type in beach or whatever it is. If it is a string, Vedika, if it's a string, then you need to put them in, you call it parenthesis or quotes, quotations, okay? So then type in beach, and the value need to be exactly the same. It can be lowercase or uppercase, that's fine, to beach. So that is done. We set one particular instance to this one, and then you go to this, basically click on this and copy it, and then just like do the same thing, command V to all of them, and then select each one and type whatever you want. And then fishing. Okay? Okay, this is how you do it. So you can play this one and just let's see if it's playing. And your doubt? Okay, I'll explain it over here only. Okay, as you can see, it's changing. Okay? Yes, what's your name? Okay, just want to give one small little information. So what I also understood is that maybe because you're not familiar with how variables work, right? I just want to just tell this thing. Okay, now when I have already assigned this value called beach over here, right? That's like a default value, okay? Anytime we only set it once. We don't want to reset it. In other words, it's not your job to go and kind of like set these things again and again. You just give it a default value, okay? Now, whenever you click on this beach and go to the prototype and it's setting a variable, right? What it is essentially doing is that for this thing, whenever you click on beach, it's literally taking this value called beach and putting it over here. Okay, whenever you are clicking on this button, right, it is setting the value to beach now. That value, it is literally going in, applying over here. Whenever you click on mountains, it's going to set to mountains, right, value. That mountain is going to be replaced by beach every time. So you don't change this value, you just give it a default value, and this is the place whenever you click different things, the values can change. Does it make sense? And one more thing, she was asking, what was the other doubt that I explained you? That was one. Okay, I don't remember. You can go to the. Okay, everyone, please settle down. Back over here. I hope you guys tried this one out. Okay, we are just going to go one step further. Okay, and this is also very important. And before I continue, just want to reiterate that. So when you click on any of these buttons, the idea is that when you click on one button, the original variable, whatever was there, that variable is going to get changed to this button value or whatever it is, right? But in order to link it, it is absolute that you need to link that particular variable name to this one. If you don't do this part, it will not change. Just keep that in mind. So the next one, what I want to do is that, as I told before, I want to create a toggle switch. When I click on the toggle, I basically want to apply dark mode to this component. Okay. So let's first create a toggle switch. Let's actually create from scratch. I'm just creating a frame and giving it some background. And then just making it a circle and also changing it to something small. Okay. And then I'm going to put this, I'm basically creating a toggle switch. That's what I'm doing. I'm going to take another frame and give it a fill of something like this, and then just put this over here inside. Okay. And then I'm going to make this just auto layout. Okay, and I'm just going to chip off okay, and just going to remove this part and expand the frame. Okay, and also I'm going to change the corners to 100. Right, now we have this, and let's just like go inside of here and give it an effect, drop shadow. So let's say for 8, blur 25, and stroke outside. And just stroke to be a little bit just want the drop shadow to be a little bit more prominent. Okay, now we have a toggle switch over here, and the idea is that whenever I click on it, it needs to kind of like shift from here to here. So what I can do is, I'll just like get this outside. Okay, and just don't want the blur to go so much. Okay, and then I'm just going to create this one this fashion, and then what I'm going to do is that I'm going to take this all the way to the corner. Okay, so this is, and also one more thing what I want to do is that I want to change this to like disabled state, and then this to like active state. Okay, so this is a bad example in terms of design, but you get the idea of it. Okay, and then what we do is that we just select both of these things, and then I create a component set. Why do I create a component set? Because I know that when I toggle active or on or off, I know that I want both of them. Okay, now for this property, what is this? Can we say it as active? And then what is the value of this? We can say it as off, and we can say, and we can say this as on, right? So let's get this outside, and can you see that even though if I have set something like off or on, still I got the toggle over here. So I simply do this, and we are kind of like getting this. Okay, that's fine. But I can also set this to this one. So can we say it as off as false? Off as false. So false is a Boolean value. So whenever you work with Boolean values, right? True means 1, false means 0. Does that make sense? So I'm going to give it to false, and going to give it to true. Okay, so it's just going to be the same thing, same action. That's what you're going to get. And okay, and then okay, let's get this outside. So now if I want to do shift space, and whenever I click on this, if I want for it to toggle, right, how would I do that? I already have a component set. I already have 2 states there. Now I want to click on this, and I want to toggle it to on. How do I do that? Huh? Yeah? Okay, click and what? So I set the variable over here. I want answers. I want you to understand. So you're saying when I click on this, I want to go to this state. So what do I do? Click on this and set a variable to true. Which variable? Okay, it doesn't need to be that complex. I already taught you in this one, right? So let's go to new travel app. What is this thing? So once we click on this, it can go to this one. We can do it in the same component state, right? Yeah? Forgot? Let's go back. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that because I know that if I click on this, I want to go to this one. If I click on this back, I want to go to this one. It makes sense to do it in the component state itself. So I'm going to prototype and clicking from here to here, and then on click, change to, and I'm going to use smart animate. What will that do? It will change smoothly from here to here, and the duration of it is 300, for example. Let's see. And then when I click this back, it needs to go back, and that is smart animate 300. So let's see if that is working. Okay, so now we have a toggle button. That's done. But the problem is that this toggle is not doing anything, right? It's just like simply when we click on it, it's toggling and offing. But now the power of variables comes in. Now the idea is that when I click on this toggle button, I want to change my variants to a dark mode. Basically, whatever things are there on the page, I want to change them to a dark mode. That's what I want to do. So in order to do that, first I need to create dark mode in these things, right? So how do I do it? So I select all of these things and I command D. So basically I have 8 different variants right now, and then I'm going to click on this and going to create a new property. And what is the property? Actually I want to create a Boolean property. Why a Boolean property? In other words, I want to on and off, right? That makes sense. So I'm going to create a Boolean property. I'm saying dark, and I'm going to create just like true. Okay. Now, first I'm going to go to all of these things, the 4 things, what I want dark mode on, and I'm going to click on a fill. And wait, what do I do? Oh, I need to go inside of them. Okay, so click on plus and you have so 40%. So take that. Okay, now they are a little bit darker, right? You get the idea. I'm just trying to emulate something. So we have them, and now how to set them to dark. So right now we have type and stuff. So we can kind of like change the type. We know that, but we need to assign this particular value of dark to these things, right? So on all of the top ones, dark is true or false? Wait. Did I do something wrong? Give me 1 second. The hell. Not used within a component. Yeah, I want to fucking use it. See, I understand when you get confused. I have done this all this time and I'm still not getting it. What the fuck? I think that's a Figma bug. Can someone please try it? It's pretty simple. It's not complex. Just try to create a different uh, the property for a particular example. It's not happening. Why would that not happen? Uh-huh. Create a property. Basically, what I want to do is that I have a type of beach. Now I want another property called dark, and then I can toggle it. It's happening. Can you copy this and see if it's happening on your file? Could anyone do it? Huh? Is this setting not showing on my page? Where did you do it? Can you see? Huh? Can you repeat? Yeah, where did you add it? Like, is there any setting that is missing over here for me to add a property? I'm seeing the property over here, but I can't add it over here. I don't know why. Can you copy this box and see if you can add a property? Okay, I think it's a Figma bug. So basically, when you have a component set, right? I created one more property called test over here, right? Whenever I click on any of these things, I should be able to see that secondary property that is unassigned. Here I'm not able to see it, so maybe I'll close these files and reopen them. Harni, like literally copy this component, copy this one, paste it on your file. Can you see if you can set it? I just showed you, right? Or see if it is already applied. The test should be there. Is there? On when you click on each one of them, it's there? No? What are you working on? Practice? The file? Huh? Do it on your laptop. Like, click on this component and then add a new variant, new property, and see if it's being applied in here. It is? Why the hell it's not happening for me? My God. Okay, so we created a switch and we already linked it to each other, so that part is done. So let's come back over here, and what we are trying to do is create a dark mode for this, right? So I'm deleting that and just shift A. Now I already have all of those things. For some reason, when I click on this and create a new property, the boolean is not coming up, okay? So I can only do it through a variant. So before doing that, what did I do before? I just selected all 4 of them, duplicated them. Yeah, and then to this, I'm going to give a fill of 30 so that it's a little bit darker, and I'm going to copy that, paste it on those things. So that is the darker one. And now what I can do is go here, and because for whatever reason the text and boolean are not working, I can click on the variant property and then set this variant to dark. Okay, and the default value for that I can give it as true. All right, and now come back over here. Now we can see that now we have a dark variant as well, and the default value is true. So for the first 4 things, the default value is of course true. Now select the rest of the 4, and in this one, LSC false. Now if I get an instance of it outside, silence. Now if I click on dark, it's going to show that, okay? And also for some damn reason this types changed. Beach, city, mountains, and fishing. Oh. Okay, so we can come back over here. Now we can select beach, city, or mountains and have it as dark true. One second. So they are all true, I forgot, and this ones are false because it's not in dark. Okay, there you go. So now I can select these things and apply dark, true or false. FASLE. FALSE. Okay, now we have a toggle. This part is clear. You guys have done this, right? So whatever what I did is that I just created a variant property. Okay, I clicked on this and clicked on a variant property, gave it true or false, and that's how I got a toggle button. So this part is there. Okay. I forgot even where I was and what I was doing. Okay, so basically because we created those extra properties, now whatever we have inside, right, even that will have this property of dark, true and false. Okay, now the idea is that I want to get this toggle switch out, okay, and then just like write some text, dark mode, and then take both of them, put them in auto layout, just 8 between them, Okay. And then what I want to do is that I just want to keep it somewhere above these things. Bring it over here. Okay. Now please try to figure this out. The idea is that we already did this path. Now whenever I toggle this switch, right? So actually let me play it in prototype. Okay, you see that the switch is being toggled, right? That is fine. But the idea is whenever you toggle the switch, I want to apply dark mode to this component as well. Before what we did when we clicked on these things, right? We kind of like applied over here, remember? Now when I click on this toggle switch, I want to apply dark mode to the component below. Can you just like give it a thought for a couple of minutes? So one tip is that if you want to set a variable, then this dark mode is of variable what boolean or string. So we need boolean. So we need to create a variable type of boolean in order to link it and match it. Does that make sense? So just try it on your own for a second. You want to try or should I explain? Yeah, that's what I was trying to tell you. So instead of adding a boolean, just add a variant only, and then like and put it true or false over there. So eventually that will make a switch or switch on. True, capital T, capital T. Create. And what you have to do, and so for all of these things, yeah. So basically for all of these things, dark mode is false, and for all of these things, dark mode is true. So whereas okay, can anyone suggest me what we can do depending on what you have already done previously, right? What can we do? So the idea is similar to when clicking on a button, we want that to change to, okay, one more thing is, here when I click on a button, we want that to change to that particular text type, right? But here it's a simple on and off switch. It's as simple as that, on and off, right? So ideally, when I go here, I only need to on or off this. That's the only thing what we need to do. So we create a variable first, right? Let's go to the variables and let's say this is a boolean. Let's say dark, that is false. Now what we can do? Yes, what should we be doing? Anyone? the same example, whatever we have done, only we are trying to replace the text with a Boolean value. We are doing the same thing, the same process. So first, okay, please observe. So the first thing is we need to be able to set this mode from the variable, right? In other words, we need to link it. We already have created a variable and that's already in here, that is dark. It is currently set to false, right? So where do we need to link this variable to? To this particular dark property inside of this, is it not? Similar to how we have linked it over here in category. Yeah. So click on this one and then you see dark over here. So just link it, okay? Now, if you do this, can you see that it's being applied? Similar to how we have linked the text over here, we type in something like city and that changes, or beach and that changes, that's the default. Even this is acting as a default. This part is understood? Okay, I think you lost it. Okay, now the idea is that only when we kind of like click on this toggle, this should happen. So we need to link that up. Let's go to prototype and let's go over here and so in this prototype, can you see that we already have a click interaction over here? Now, what we want to do we want to, why is this click interaction there? So that it can toggle back from this one to this one, correct? So when I click on it, what should happen? It should also toggle this one, right? So I click on this part and say set variable. So click on the plus interaction. This might be a little bit overlap, but I'll explain you again after the lunch session. Set variable and set what? Dark to what? When we are clicking on it, I want dark mode to be activated. So true. Okay, and let's go to the variables again and set dark to false in the first place, and let's just like play it. Okay, can you see that whenever I clicked on it, the dark is being applied? So I'll explain this again in detail in the lunch session. Please go for lunch. I'll see you guys at 1:30. Thank you. So I just kept a couple of examples for you guys over here. So this setting a variable, right? We already looked at it in the morning where we clicked on a button and we kind of like changed different things, right? So I just want to show it to you. Basically, this thing is about setting a variable and then changing the variant with it. In other words, whenever we click on a button, we are setting one variable. That variable is being attached to this frame of that particular component. So when we are setting a variable, that variant is changing. That is one type of thing that you can do. There is a second way to do it, okay? That is changing the variant and then it sets a variable. Right now we set a variable and change the variant. The other way to do it is changing the variant, that in turn will set the variable. So how do we do that? Right now, to this on and off switches, in prototype, we basically have two-way prototyping going on over there. So when it is on, it will change to this, and when it is again clicked on, it will change to this. This part is clear? Yeah? So when we get one switch outside in this fashion, what is the property over here that we get? Which is a Boolean. I mean, we already said that, right? Active to false and active to true. So whenever we get that instance out of it, it will show it as a toggle switch. So which we can on and off. Make sense, right? Now we know that we can make it on and off. Now imagine when I toggle something, I want a layer to be visible. When I toggle it off, I want that layer to be invisible. Can we do that? In similar way, if you check over here, right? Here, If I toggle this, I want a frame inside it to become visible. If I toggle it off, I want the frame inside to become invisible. But how are we doing this? So we don't want to set a variable and kind of like do it. So here we want to change the variant and automatically it should happen. So how can we do that? First of all, in order to change this thing, we need to create a variable, right? So let's create one variable. I'm going to delete my previous ones. So let's create a new Boolean variable, because the toggle on and off is 0 and 1, so probably it makes sense to create a Boolean variable. Let's create a Boolean variable saying switch. Okay, and the default value is false. I'm just giving that. Okay, and now when you come here, so if I on this, I need that variable to become true. How can we do that? Prototype and connect? Sure, but for that I need to kind of like link this one, right? So basically what I'm trying to say is that here I have an invisible layer, leave that alone. Right now I have a switch. This switch, basically if I kind of like put this in this one, if I go here, when I'm turning it on, it's turning, so that is already happening. I'm not having an issue with that. All I'm asking is that when I'm turning it on, that global variable whatever I have given, I want it to change to true or false when I click on this particular instance. Okay, so the variable what we have given outside is this switch already there. Okay, so can we link that particular switch variable to this particular component? How do we do that? So basically go to the property of it and then click on this and say switch, right? No, we'll leave that apart. I'll explain that. But first we are just linking it over here. Okay, linking the toggle this component to that variable. Okay, so I'm clicking on this. Now it is linked. Can you see that the active part is linked to the switch? Now basically how do we test it whether it's working or not? If I click on this, can you see that it's toggling? So does this make sense? Okay, now the idea is that we don't want to again toggle over here, right? Now the idea is whenever I toggle this one somewhere outside, I want a frame to appear or disappear. That's what I want to do. Okay, now here I have a particular here I have a particular frame, the black frame. Okay, now we have the toggle switch which is on and off. We already linked the variable to this particular toggle, so we know that the false and true are acting upon. Now I want to link it to this particular instance. In other words, when I click on it, I want this to disappear, and when I again click on it, I want this to appear. So we already have a variable for that, right? We need to apply, we already applied this particular variable linked to this. Now we need to apply the same variable linking to this frame, right? Can we also tell that whenever we toggle it on, right, do we want the layer to appear or layer to disappear? In other words, can we say that we want it to kind of like do this? Yes. So we can go here to the appearance and right click on it. Again, this might not be very accessible or understandable. Whenever you want to disappear or appear a layer, right, go to the appearance section of that particular layer and right click on it. Whenever you right click on it, you have some set of properties. What is the property that we need to attach to? Switch. Now why did it go away? Because it is false. Now that we have attached both of them to layer, it is false, so it went away. Now when I did this true, can you see that? Can you also see here, when I say true, this is getting on, this is getting, this is like appearing. When I say false, this both are going back. Did you understand how I linked it back? So instead of doing it from here, let's do it from our prototype. One second. Okay. So toggling it on, toggling it off, like it's coming. Okay. And we already have done this one, right? When we click on beach, for example, I mean, it's going to city, but you get the idea of it. Like I'm trying to click on it, okay? Uh, I just want you guys to copy this whole thing, whatever is there, put it on your own files and see. I basically want you to understand that we can either go to a button, put a prototype, click on it, and then set a variable and change some variant, or else we can directly go to that variant and attach that particular variable to that variant and then attach it to a different one to change it. So basically, set a variable and change the variant, or change the variant to set a variable. Does that make sense? Can you please try it on your own, these two things? Already kind of like understand the concept. Now I want you to use whatever I have explained you and try to do it on this page. Copy this one and make sure that when you click on dark mode, this particular element should switch to the dark mode state. First, try it on this one and see if you can apply it to this one. If not, I will explain you. It's because this is already set to some other different things. Read that. You had a previous instance of that, so I edited it, right? Now it will be working. Now you need to apply the variable, whatever it is, whatever you want. You understood? Your problem was it was not shifting, right? Now it is shifting. What else is your problem? It's coming now. Huh? Yeah, because I removed that. So, what was the variable that you want to set to this? Huh? Before, was it changing to dark? Oh, it was. Okay, so what were you changing? That's what I want to know. Yeah, now it will go back. So you're setting the variable dark to true, right? So let's go back over here. Okay, this is there, and Okay. You need to figure out how again the dark thing goes away once we switch off. Dark is coming, but once I switch off, it needs to go away, right? If anyone has figured it out, please let me know. Okay, coming back to this. So if we wanted to do it in a similar fashion, right? In other words, whenever we clicked on one button, then we wanted to change some state or we wanted to do it like that, then we'll come here normally. Guys, observe. We'll come here normally and then say prototype. And then here, can you see that we already have a click enabled on it? On the component I'm clicking, and then it's already saying that in the interaction there is already one click available. And what is that click? That click is actually changed to the active state. So basically it's saying whenever we click on it, it will change the active state, right? So we don't only want to change it to the active state, we also want to set a variable, right? So how do we do that? So we can have a small interaction over here on the top. Instead of, don't do this. If you do this, you can't have another click. Does that make sense? Don't do that. So you can go to the same interaction of the click and add next to it, add action to the whole interaction. So then I say set variable, okay? And what is the variable I need to set to? Oh, I actually don't have a variable that I already created. So going to create one very quickly. So I'm going to say boolean and going to say dark switch or dark mode switch. Okay, and I'm going to leave it as false. Now let's go back over here, click on the button and go to prototype. And in here, in the interaction, remember I already gave a second action called set variable. So let's set the variable. What is its variable? Dark mode switch to true. Okay, so we set that. So is it similar to this one? Even in this one we went to prototype, on click we kind of like set a variable and stuff. Even in here we did the same thing, is it not? So let's just like see what happens. Okay, we are doing this but nothing is happening over here. So why is that? First let's just check our variable whether if we do this, it's not linked to the switch. Okay, that's happening. So let's go back and play. Sorry, shift space. Okay, it's not happening. Okay, now why is that? Let's go to design and variables and let's just like click on the dark switch and you can see that this both are linked. So that's not the problem. Okay, so what is the only other problem that can arise? That of this one, like the image property layer, whatever you need to, that is not being set. Can you see that this is not being set yet? So I click here and set to what? Dark switch. So I'm basically linking both of them together. Now if I press shift this one, yes, can you see that? So there is a better way to do it. That's why I'm trying to tell you. So this is one way to do it. We don't need to always do it this way. The other way to do it is, you simply click here, go to prototype and remove that interaction and all of those things, whatever it is, and then simply click on that one and what did I do? Yeah, and simply click on that one and go here to Sorry, my bad. I gave a wrong example. So hold on. That's why I was wondering how it was working. Okay. Please observe, it was my mistake. I already triggered a variable before. So right now, this particular element is already set to dark. In the dark mode, the switch is already set. So that is clear, that part is done. Now what I'm trying to do is, whenever I click on the switch, right, I want it to trigger this, okay? One way how to do it is, previously what we have done, when we clicked on a beach, then we go to prototype and then set the variable. That's exactly what we're going to do. So we go here and we go to prototype, and we can't add a new click because already one click is existing, we can't do that. So go here and add a new action. So add action, and then the target variable what I want to change is the dark mode switch to true. This part you understood? Right? So what is the problem with this? So once you do this, right, once I clicked on this, dark mode is being applied, so that is okay. But once I toggle it back, the dark mode is not applying back anymore. Why is that? Uh-huh. When we apply it to what? Can you be louder? I can't hear you. No, we applied the variable right now. So if you go to design and see this dark switch is there, it's already applied. Yeah. So what is the problem? See, simple, right? Previously, when we, so let's go to prototype again. So when we click on beach or city or mountains, when we click on mountains, we only set the variable to change only once, right? So on click, it's changing, and that's all, it's not doing anything. Well, that's the same interaction what I have done over here now. So what will happen? It will only change on click because we only asked it to set the variable to this one only on click and nothing else. Well, what about when we want to again click on it and then go back? How do we do it? Did you understand what I'm trying to explain? See, I can tell it in a very easy fashion and just like go off, but I want you to understand why things are happening a certain way. That's why I'm telling you this. Right now, all we did is that we clicked on this particular toggle, and then we are changing that variable, and automatically this is changing. That's fine. Now we want to click on this toggle again, and then we want to remove that or false that variable to this one so that the dark mode is gone. How do we do it? In this way. I know that people have already tried a different way and they got it. How do we do it in this way? My aim is that I already clicked on it, I got my dark mode, I need to re-click on it, the dark mode needs to disappear. For the people who already found how to do it, try to even find this one. You can copy it and try it. A small tip, did I ever mention to you about something called conditional statements? Never? If you guys want to try it out, you can try it, but yeah, there are other ways to do it. I'll also show it in that method. I'm going to show 3 ways to do it, and I want you to distinguish all of these 3 ways in a particular way so that you understand those 3 different variations. Okay? Did anyone figure it out? Can I explain? Everyone pay attention over here once. See, I'll just give you an overview of idea first. So when you click on it, it needs to set the variable to true so that this will come, and when you click on it again, it needs to like go away, right? So instead of doing it on this particular element, let me just like show you another example doing it on one particular frame, okay? So let me pull this down for you. Let me name it as conditionals. Okay, and here instead of this dark whatever it is, I'm just going to remove that, and I'm going to just put this in an auto layout frame and just fill it with something, and I'm just going to make it a button. Okay, all right. Now what I want to do is that here we are trying to do a switch thing, right? Here I want to click on this, then I want the dark mode to apply, and I want to again click on the same button, and I want the dark mode to disappear. Okay, we already know the first part, clicking on one button and then making the dark mode appear. That we already know how to do that. So go to prototype and click on interactions, and on click set variable. What variable is that? Dark mode switch variable to what? True. Yes, you already know this. So let's just like go and shift and play in this, see this. So can you see that when I clicked on this, the dark mode is being applied? So that is already done, okay? Now the second part, when I click on it again, I still want to change this. So how can we achieve that? So there is a special statement called conditionals. So let's go to this part. So on click, the action is to set variables, right? Can you see that there is also other ones like set variable mode and conditional? Did you ever go through something called if else statements? If condition, do something, else do something. Yes, aware of that. So it's the same thing, okay? So we can click on conditional, okay? And right now, when I click on this button, what it's going to do is open a conditional statement, and then we are writing some logic over here, okay? Can anyone tell me the condition? How do I turn on and off? What would be the condition for it? If the variable, right? If the switch variable, what is the variable name? Dark mode switch is equal to what? If it is already equal to false, make it true, right? So if the dark mode switch is equal to false, FALSC, you see that here it's giving me suggestions. False is a Boolean literal, okay? So click on that. Now what it is saying, if dark mode switch variable is already set to false, now that is the if condition. Now we come to the action. If this is the case, then perform this action. What is the action? If dark mode switch is equal to false, then we want to just flip it, right? Change the dark mode switch to true, okay? So add action and set variable of what? Dark mode switch to what? True. Does this make sense? You need to try it on your own in order to understand it. If you see it from the small screen, you'll not be able to understand. Should I repeat it once again for you? Guys, should I repeat it once again? You're trying it out. Okay. I'm just deleting this whole thing so that it's clear for you again. So again, clicking on this particular one, I'm clicking on interaction, and interaction is a click. On click, I want to trigger I want to trigger an action of what? Setting a conditional statement, okay? And in that conditional statement, basically the idea is this goes on and off with that particular variable called dark mode switch. So if the variable is off right now, which is false, then set it to true. So if dark mode switch, which is going to come up over here, is equal to, double equals is equal to, or if you don't know how to write all of that, when you put this, right, you have four little small operations over here, equal to, not equal to, and or, and these are the operations. You can just simply click on that. If the dark mode switch is equal to false, when you type false also, you're going to get this small boolean little thing. You can click on that, okay? If it is equal to false, then perform the action called set variable and dark mode switch to what? True. We are flipping it. If the dark mode switch is equal to false, set the variable of dark mode switch to true. Okay? Now, what is the else statement? So we are saying that if this is false, then set it to true when we click on it. But if this is true, else what? Else set variable target dark mode switch to false. Okay, there you go. So let's just like try it. Yeah, so with the same click, if it is true, it's setting to false. If it's false, it's setting to true. This is called a conditional logic. If you didn't understand this part of the conditional logic, I can explain it in a different way. This fine? Okay, great. Can you please try it on your own? To true, will set to false. Okay, alright, we have it right now. So let's just click this, shift enter. Okay, can you see what's happening? Please observe. So when I'm clicking on it, it's changing to the dark. That's fine. But when I'm clicking on it again, it's not changing back to the normal one. Why this would be happening? That's what my question. The whole reason why I got to this point is because of this. Why is that not happening? We have the conditional statement and all of that is great, but why is this not working? Okay, I'll tell you the reason. The reason is because here, when we did it on this particular button, this is important so that you need to understand this. If you click on this button is not changing to any other component. Button is static, right? You click on this button, you again click on this button, it's changing. That's fine, okay? But, go ahead. Go ahead. But once you click on this particular toggle switch, right? What is happening? It is changing the toggle component to this one. So, when I clicked on this one, it is changing to this one. It's not even present anymore. It's changing to a completely different component. That's why we are not able to change. Does that make sense? I guess not, but I'll leave it. Okay. So again, for all of you, if this is too much conditionals and everything, the simplest way to do it all along was that just click on this and set this particular toggle switch to dark switch, and that's all it is required. You don't need to do any conditionals or anything. So just shift enter and then press on this, and it's going to change to dark in this. Okay. So one way is by setting conditionals or clicking on that, or the other way is this. Does that make sense? Okay. Guys, we'll take a break. I'll see you at 3. So, Uh, is it recording? Yeah. Okay. Please pay attention over here. So from whatever we have completed, right, in terms of setting a variable, set a variable and then change the variant, or change the variant and then set the variable, we had those examples over here. Leave the conditionals out. Whatever we have learned in these three things, right? So I have just spun up an example to show you. So let me just put it in prototype. Let me make it full screen. Okay, so here I have 4 different buttons, and all of the buttons act as like a filter category. Okay, so if I only select, what is this note? Yeah, if I only select beach, beaches are going to appear. If I select city, beaches and cities are going to appear. If mountains, mountains are going to appear, and still my dark mode is still attached to the same variables. If I click on dark mode, then everything is dark. If I remove dark mode, anything can be dark, and I can remove them or mix and match or put all of them together. Okay, so this whole thing is simply happening by the same examples what I have given you. So please try to recreate this, not by copying it, but try to do it on your own. Have 4 buttons, have this component, just like I made multiple copies of the same thing. Okay, and when I click on something, they need to appear. When I click on something else, they need to disappear, and dark mode should still work. It can happen with whatever I have taught you. Can you try it? By the way, the reason why I'm asking you to try is because in your lecture file, right, in the new travel app, I have pasted some more screens over here. So can you see this category screen? Basically, whenever you click on any particular category, right, you go to that particular screen. Okay, if that is selected, that is going to be selected as beach. For example, only beaches will show over here. If the second one, mountains, are also selected, then beaches plus mountains are going to show up over there. We are going to use the same thing over there. If you understand it over there in the smaller concept, you'll be able to pull it off over here, or else you'll not get it. Okay, so that is the reason I almost gave the whole example, but still try it on your own. And do know that for each of these buttons, I have also active state. When I click on it, you see the small border. That's the active state that's defining it, that something is active. You can try it. If it's too hard, let me know. I will explain it in class. Like, silence. Like, we understand that we want to click on one of these buttons and we want to only show those particular layers of beaches, right? How would we necessarily do that? Anyone? So just by looking at this, right, we have all of these different components. I didn't change the component at all, okay? Whatever is there inside here and whatever the dark mode is being applied, those are the same components what I have. I just try to place it here and there in an auto layout frame. That's all I have done over there, okay? Now, whenever we click on, for example, say beach, I only, so whenever we click on beach, whenever it's active, I want the beach elements to show up, which means only this three. When city is active, I want the city elements to show up, right? So when it is not active, when I click on it again and it is not active anymore, I don't want the beaches to show. When city is not active anymore, I don't want the cities to show. How can we match it from whatever we have learned so far today? Sorry? Okay, great. So you're saying, okay, there is a variable and then we need to relate that variable to the appearance thing. Okay, great, awesome. So please watch over here. What she just explained over there is that, so if I only want the beach elements to show up, right, then probably I'll create a variable for beach, one variable. I'll create a variable for city, I'll create a variable for mountain, I'll create a variable for fishing. Is this variable text variable or else Boolean variable? If Boolean, why Boolean? Because basically we are trying to flip the appearance of it, right? Like on or off. Like that's the reason it will be a Boolean variable. So what I did was that I went into my variable section and I created 4 variables. One is beach filter, one is city filter, mountain filter and fishing filter, right? After creating those variables, those are Boolean variables basically, then I came to each one of them and I have attached the appearance property. Can you see that in appearance, whenever it's attached, it's grayed out over here? That's because I attached this property. So for example, this fishing, right? I'm going to redo it right now. So right click on it and say fishing filter. That's how you attach. So basically for all, wherever the beaches are there, I have attached the beach property, city property, right? City variable. So now once I do that attachment and go to the variable section, okay, now please tell me this. If I toggle the beach filter, what should happen? Only the beaches should go away because I have linked all of the beaches to that particular property, right? So I'm toggling that, only the beaches goes away. So when I toggle the city filter, only the cities goes away, and mountains, and then fishing. This is fine till here? Yeah? Okay. Going to just put them back for now. Okay, what is the next step? So we know that we can do it from here, but we want this to kind of like become on or active by clicking on these elements, is it not? When I click on my beach filter over here, it needs to be set to active, and then through that active, that beach filter should also toggle to true. How do I do that? We already did this as well. See, I told you about the 2 ways to do it, right? One is clicking on the beach, setting a variable that is the beach filter to true. We can do that. That is one way. What is the second way? Second way is through the variant only, no? So one way is clicking on the beach, going to prototype, and then saying set variable and do that. That is one way. Okay. What is the other way? Huh? If else. No need to use conditionals. Okay, please look over here. I have created a component, right? This is a beach component. And in this, one is active is false and this active is true, right? So when I get this outside, active is true and active is false, right? In other words, whenever I click on the beach, active should be turned on. Whenever I click again on the beach, active should be turned off. Is that correct? Now, if I want the same thing to happen over here, what we do? Instead of doing set property and everything, we already did this. You simply go to the beach, this active thing, and then set the, beach filter to this one. Now what will happen? So now what will happen is that whenever I click on this, right, not only that it will change the state to active and give me that border, it will also change the variable, what is present in there. Does it make sense? Should I repeat that once again, or does it make sense? Okay. Where did I do it? Okay, here in the toggle we did it, right? Can you see this? In the toggle, I have set the switch to that particular element. In other words, whenever I click on this toggle, it will already be set to toggle because I'm clicking on it. But at the same time, because we are clicking to active, this element is already wired to our own variable. So because we are setting to active, even this is being set to active. Does that make sense? It's the same case over here, the same exact replica. You need to try it on your own, then only you'll understand it. But ideally, once we do that, this is the result. Okay. So we don't have anything. If, well, I have set it to all true, I think. Oh, this is one more way to know. Okay. So when I click on variable, right? Please observe. Okay. When I click on variable, now if I remove the beach filter, what should happen over here? Two things should happen. One is, okay, the beaches should go away. What is the second one? In other words, this, whatever the button is there, it should become inactive and come to the normal one, right? So check that. Even this has changed. So that is how I know that they are both linked, right? If it is not linked, then what would happen? So for example, I'm unlinking it, okay? And now see what happens. So if I do the beach filter or anything, that is not changing to anywhere. So basically we're linking them together. That's how this whole thing works. Okay, and again, so I can do this, and no matter what state I am in, I can set the dark mode because we already did that part back there, and it will automatically be set. Okay, so this is how we do filters and kind of like changing the appearance of layers and stuff. You need to practice these things on your own. I have kept all of these examples on this page only. Okay, and the idea is that by the next session, I think you'll have it on Monday itself, next Monday and Friday. So in your lecture, go to the new travel app. Yeah, you don't need to do this frames, but you need to do this one. Okay, in other words, I'll just get this out. Okay, please look. So we already have this whole page done. Okay, and in order to do this page, right, all we need is that we can copy these elements, whatever are there here, and just paste it on this page. So you don't need to redo anything. Okay, just paste those elements over here, mix and match some things, and then you can simply copy these elements of whatever is there and put it over here. Okay, and the search bar also you can copy this whole thing, status bar, you copy whatever it is. So it's already there. You don't need to create anything new. All you need to do is make it work. When you click on beach, it needs to come to this particular page, right? And then beach should be selected, only beach element should show up. When you click on mountain, mountain should also show up. Again, if you deselect beach, beach should go away. Does that make sense? It's the same functionality what we had. Can you get this done for the next session on Monday? Okay, you can go through the class video if you want to get it done. All right. Yeah. Okay, just one last problem that you might face when you're doing these things. Okay, can you all see this over here? Right now, we set this particular instance, this both properties to two different variables, right? What I'm trying to tell you is that this is an instance of the original component, okay? On this instance, we are setting these properties to link to some other variable. But if at all, we take some other instance of the original component, those things are not linked anymore. So every instance should be linked on its own. Just because we linked the instance over here,
doesn't mean that every instance of this component will have that. Does that make sense? It's only local to that instance. Many people might not understand that. I'm just trying to repeat that again. Okay. All right. That's it for now.